There we go.
All right.
Okay, sick. Welcome, Rhys. Episode 2 of a SRZ Podcast. What's good, man?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. First of all, once I got your message that you wanted to do this, I was pretty excited because I like talking to you, and thanks for having me on. But yeah, no, I'm doing good. Nothing too crazy. Just playing Rocket League, trying to get better every day.
Hell yeah.
Nothing too special.
Yeah.
How about yourself? You doing all right?
Yeah, I'm doing good, man. I'm on the grind. Like we've been talking just 20
sure.
seconds before the start of the podcast, and honestly, I'm like, people might not notice it, but I do a lot of shit behind the scenes as well. And just quickly for everyone listening or watching right now, there's a big latency between me and Rhys, mainly because we're doing this over Discord and we are literally across the ocean. So if we talk over each other, I apologize, but it might happen, and just try to ignore the amateurness of it. So, Rhys, real quick for the people who don't know you, who are you and why do you draw so much attention in my community?
I don't know. People say I'm good at the game. I don't know. But no, I'm trying to go pro in this game. I'm top 100 pretty consistently when I try to grind ranked. I don't know, like ranked is, pros will tell you it doesn't really mean much, but it's good practice for sure. But anyways, yeah, no, I'm trying to go pro. I'm basically, just another player, like trying to get on the grind. I think definitely one of the reasons I've drawn a lot of attention in Turk's community, especially, is just because people know my work ethic because he's had me on one YouTube episode, and I kind of explained my whole practice routine, and then people kind of started taking me seriously. So I think Turk said like he thinks I'm one of the more promising people that's coming up in the game now. I don't know about that. I try to stay humble and that kind of thing, but I'm definitely trying to make it pro in this game. So that's kind of what I'm doing. But yeah, no, if you're interested in that, check out his other YouTube videos. He's good.
Like honestly, you hit the nail right on its head. There's a lot of things I can admire about people. Whether, and I hope you do, but whether you do or you don't achieve your goal, your work ethic is just one of those things that I want people to know that it exists, and it's not just like a social media fable. Like it's not just something that people talk about. This is an actual thing, like that people actually can do what you do. And I'm not at any means disregarding the effort you put in, but with all, like, I want people to understand that this is a human being doing this, so you can do this too.
Yeah.
Given the circumstances, like this goes out to everyone who wants to achieve anything in their life, whether it's with a career or a relationship or a video game. Like, it's doable, and the things you have achieved in a very short period of time are very, very, like, it doesn't happen very often. Can you tell people a little bit about your work ethic? And if you want, you don't have to tell them the things that we've talked about, like what led up to this, talking about the stocks a little bit if you want,
okay,
and how everything led up to this. Just give them like the story.
So I mean, I started playing Rocket League in 2019 on PC. I played a little bit on console, but like not super competitively, so I don't really count that as like actual like game time, because if you're just kind of going into ranked and not really trying to get better, then I mean, you're not really going to be going anywhere. But then, so that was like my sophomore year of high school. And at that point, I kind of decided, and in America, I don't know how it is in Europe, but we have 4 years of high school. And then, so in my sophomore year, which is the middle year, so it'd be like 10th grade, I decided that I was going to graduate early. So instead of graduating in, the normal 4 years, I was going to graduate in 3. And then with that, like 4th year, I was going to try and take a year off and go pro in Rocket League. But, like in order to do that, I needed to have kind of money to like sustain myself. So it actually kind of ended up working out pretty well, because in 2020, like like January 2020, March 2020, COVID hit. And then I was out of school because everyone was in lockdown. So I got a job, and then I just started working. And then it all kind of, I mean, there's always a little bit of luck in success, I think. And that kind of happened to be a pretty good opportunity for me. but also like before that, I kind of had a big plan about this. I've read a lot about the stock market and a lot about business. I read a lot. I've always been a reader since like eighth grade. I read a lot, so I kind of like knew this was a good time to do it. It wasn't like all luck. It's like when preparation kind of meets opportunity. They call it luck, right? I think there's that saying. But so I took a job. I got saved up a bunch of money, and then I invested it in the stock market, and it ended up doing pretty well. So now I kind of have like a financial cushion to kind of support me while I try and make this dream become a reality. Since obviously like all the stocks kind of came up again after they all dropped right at the beginning of COVID, and it was convenient because I didn't have to really worry about my school. In my school district, our grades they all stayed the same. They could not go down, and I had all A's. I'm a pretty good student. I graduated with over a 4.0 GPA, which is like all A's. And so, when they told me like your grade isn't going down, I was like, all right, well, I'm just gonna go get a job then and focus on something else. And so that's what I did. And I would, if you guys are in school, like take care of your schoolwork. Like I wouldn't really recommend doing that. But I had a plan. Like I had a pretty good idea of what I wanted to do, and my parents supported me the whole way. So yeah, there was like a lot of work leading up to this to just have the opportunity to do what I'm trying to do. So now like looking back, it's been about a year. I've made quite a bit of progress. I still have a lot of money. Like I'm really chilling. Like there's nothing really got to be worried about. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of I gave myself the opportunity to do this, and also like my parents, like they're letting me stay at their house. They pay for the internet. Like they pay for my insurance, that kind of thing. So it's not like I'm completely supporting myself. Like a lot of credit goes out to them. They're doing a lot for me, so I appreciate them. I'm very thankful for them. Love them very much and all that good stuff. So yeah.
That's wholesome. I love it. I love it when kids are, I say kids, but it's a young men that are aware and grateful for what their parents do for them. Like a lot of people are very privileged in that sense, but don't really understand how much privilege goes into that. Like like let's dive into the conversation right away. It's like you said that like you got the financial freedom now to spend basically your entire quote unquote work day being able to be on Rocket League. Do you think you would have been able to achieve as much, if not something, if you had to work? Do you think you could have done that?
I think it'd be a lot harder. It'd be tough though. It would definitely be tough because, I mean, if you go to work for 8 hours a day, or if you have school for a couple hours a day, it's tiring. It drains you. And then like coming home and having to like put another like 6 to 8 hours. I was doing more than that, but into Rocket League, that's tough. That's a lot of work. So it definitely would have been more and more difficult. I think I definitely would not have like had any time to hang out with anybody. I mean, like my social life would have been completely gone. But I think it's possible. I just think it's really, really difficult. But yeah, it's tough. I mean, a lot of pros will tell you like, unless you can really commit a lot of hours to the game, it's hard to go pro if you're not already like close to the top. It's really hard to like close that gap because they're already so much better.
Because it's more of a lifestyle, isn't it? There's a lot of the thing that people don't understand. It's not just being good at Rocket League. It's not just being good at something. There's a lot of stuff that goes with it. And if you will, I want to dive into this. And like I talked with Kieran about this briefly on the previous episode. Is diet, mental health, having friends around you, having support around you, or just that one or two people that around you that can relate to what you're doing and how taxing sometimes it may be. Like people don't really realize that. And like just being good at something isn't good enough anymore. It's an actual lifestyle. It can be very hard for people. Like I don't think I could do it, dog. Like honestly, if you put me in top 100, I'm gonna wild out. I'm gonna do some stupid shit. It's easy to just drop out of there and just be like, oh, remember, like it's very easy to be a has-been, basically.
Yeah, it's hard. Like with you talking mental health too, and like there's a lot of things you'll see on Twitter, like people going through, like they're kind of depressed because I mean, at the end of the day, like getting good at Rocket League, you're sitting in front of your monitor grinding a certain thing for hours, and I mean that's just not that's hard. That's hard.
Sometimes people, I'm really like, please don't take this the wrong way, listeners, but sometimes I get the feeling that there's a couple people out there who just make shit up for attention, and that pisses me the fuck off because that draws away the attention from people who are actually having a problem. That really fucks with me sometimes, and we've seen it a couple times on social media. I can't find names right now, or if I had them, I wouldn't name them, obviously, but it annoys me sometimes because there are actually people who actually have mental health disorders because of their passion or something in their childhood, and it really fucks me off that there are people out there that just lie about it just to catch some clout.
Yeah. I mean, I hope
It's
you don't. I hope people don't do that, but it's gonna happen. Especially with the spotlight that social media can provide. It kind of one of those things. It is what it is. But also, on the flip side, social media has allowed the discussion to happen about mental health,
yeah.
and talk about like the seriousness of it and the depression it caused. Like it's exposed a lot of that, which is a good thing, I think, too, because it's allowing people to find resources they need if they are going through that
Mhm.
struggle, and it's got to be tough. I think we've all had those times in our lives where things are not going great, and it's just nice that there's those resources out there now.
Yeah, exactly. So, to come back to your work ethic and your work routine, because I've spoken to you a lot in private. Well, I
Yeah.
say a lot. For me, it's a lot because I don't really have that many conversations one on one with people in my free time. I just tend to just dive back into my basement and just ignore everyone. I don't like people. If you didn't get the gist, um, what does your training routine look like? What do you have a schedule for every day, and does it change? Like, what do you do, bro?
Yeah, the day to day, right? That's kind of, like you got all this time. Sometimes it can be a little overwhelming, like you don't know what to do, or.
Yeah.
For me, like I've been doing it for such a long time. My schedule's pretty set. Also, like I'm on a team now, so we have our team schedule, and so like whether that's scrims or team coaching, that's kind of set up. So that usually happens in the evening. So that means most of my individual improvement things I want to work on for me happen during the day. But mostly the things I do, like every single day, I'm playing ones, because ones are just super good for improvement. Any pro, you can't go pro in this game if you can't get top 101. So that's kind of what I'm working to be, get consistent top 101s. Like I've scratched it, but I'm not there yet, so I need to keep grinding. So I play a lot of ones. I do a lot of looking at my own games, my own replays, because it's hard to in a game see everything you're doing wrong. Like some people say, I know why that was a goal, or I know the mistakes I'm making, but sometimes you don't see every little thing. So it's good for me to, look at replays. I spend a lot of time in free play, a lot of time in training packs, and a little bit of time in ranked, not a whole lot. So like, for example, what I normally do, like right when I get on, I do like, I'll do between 8 and 12 hours, depending on how busy my day is. So I do 2 or 3 4 hour splits. So like first 15 minutes, I do a bit of free play, and it'll just be 15 minutes, like kind of warming up, getting the feel for the game, and then 45 minutes of ranked ones, and then I do 2 hours of like free play training packs, that kind of thing. So
Dog, it's like CrossFit, bro. What
yeah,
the
yeah,
fuck? Jesus Christ.
yeah, it's a lot for sure. Yeah, it's a lot. So that'll be like 3 hours. So I do my, 15 minutes training pack, 45 minutes 1v1s, and then I do those 2 hours of free play training packs, training whatever I want to work on. And then I do like 5 minutes of like slow mo, and then 10 minutes just chasing the ball around to kind of like get used to playing the game again. And then I hop into ranked for another 45 minutes, and then that's one session. And then I'll do that either twice or 3 times a day. So that's kind of what my schedule looks like. And
Once or
I mean,
twice a day.
yeah, no, twice or 3 times, because I hit at least 8 hours, and that's just personal. Like that's not including streams, so I'm playing quite a bit. But also like that's kind of I think what works best for me. Some players say like I don't want to play a lot; it's easier for me, and it's whatever works for you. What works for me is just getting more and more reps and getting consistent, playing a lot. That's what works for me, so that's what I do. You got to stick with what
So
works for you.
why ones? What makes ones so special?
Yeah, you're the only one on the field, so you got to do everything. If that ball goes on your net, you got to save it. Also no teammates, so you can't blame anybody, right? Like it's all on you. You got to shoot, you got to dribble, you got to save, you got to control your beats. Like there's so many good things to practice in ones, whether it's, kickoffs, whether it's 50-50s, whether it's you have time and space to practice things off the wall in an in-game setting with a good defender or a defender of your level, right? So it's a great place to just like practice things where you're the only one. Whereas like in threes, like you got to rotate. You don't always get to go for the ball. So,
Hmm.
if you're practicing rotations, why would you play ones, right? Like it doesn't make any sense. I'm not
No.
really worried about my rotations right now at this current moment. So I'm playing a lot of ones because I'm focusing on like my mechanical thing. I want to get better at shooting. I want to get better at playing like faster, like getting things faster, more consistent. And speed isn't just like going around the field quickly. It's being in the right spot. Better positioning is speed. And it's not just that too. It's like on your attack, getting the right attack and doing it as quickly as possible. Like there's a lot that goes into speed that like lower levels don't really know about. Like there's a lot of subcategories of the game that like people don't really think about until they're talked about. Like for example, one thing like Turbo Pulsa does is when he grabs the big boosts, he like drives on the edge of them. And so it does two things. Number one, like it avoids if someone's bumping you, you kind of like make it harder for them to bump you because you're avoiding that boost. And it just makes his lines quicker and cleaner because he's not driving as far out, right? There's not as much distance covered. So like it's those little things, that make the difference.
It adds up.
Yeah, exactly. So it's whatever you need to focus on right now. Ones, but also ones is great for anybody, any pro player, any high level player is like going to tell you to play ones because you're the only one on the field. It's all on you. You're getting a lot of chances to try things and practice, and it's really good. So
Hmm.
I do recommend ones for improvement. It's great. It is
So
tilting
what do
though,
you like?
so don't get me wrong, it is tilting. So like doing
How do you
2
deal
hours in
with
one.
tilt?
I mean, I do it every day. So, I mean, like, if you think I do like 3 hours, 3 sessions, that's like, 45 times 3 hours of ones, right? So almost 3 hours of ones a day, which is a lot, but also like breaking it up helps. And also the big thing for me is I don't care if I win or lose. It's really not about that. It's about improving. So as long as I go in with like, I don't care how many goals I get scored on, as long as I'm practicing this thing, it doesn't bother me at all. So that's kind of how I deal with tilt. Like just the other day, I was practicing just playing the ball to open space, and I was like, I literally don't care. I'm not even going to drive the ball at his net. I'm just going to hit it away from him every single time. And so I'm like, as long as I'm doing that, I don't care what the scoreboard is. And if you can have that mindset, then yeah, you're going to improve, and losses aren't going to bother you. So yeah.
Hmm. But doesn't it help to care a little bit so you do stay up against people who are half decent or at least around your rank?
Yeah, and it's kind of been interesting too, because like even if I'm doing that, I don't really like lose. I'll go even.
Hmm.
There are times that like I'm practicing something completely new, and I will lose every game. But then like you kind of you get it back. So I mean, in the long run, I think you have to understand that being like improving is better than just staying at your level and just always trying to like play at the same level. It's better to like move down to go up. Sometimes you have to take a step backwards to take 2 steps forward. So that's kind of how I see it. But also, yeah, you're right. You do want to be kind of like in a high level. And as long as I'm around like, high like 1380 to like 1450, somewhere in that range, those games are usually like decent enough. Like
Hmm.
for me, the big struggles, like the games I struggle against, are like 1500 and up. Kind of like that top 100 range are kind of tougher games for me. So as long as I'm kind of in a range where like it's decent practice, then I'm pretty good.
Okay, well, I just mentioned something briefly and you agreed with it. Now we got a little bit of a problem because I said just because you're good in something or just because you're top 100, let me phrase it like that, doesn't make you good or make you go pro. So what are these people doing in top 100 that doesn't make them a pro, but keeps people like you who are up and coming from reaching the rank they are? What are they doing different that they're able to stay high or be in the top 50, top 20, but aren't able to go pro? What's the difference?
Well, I mean, you
Tough one,
have.
isn't
Yeah, I know it
it?
is. It's a tough question. You have those players who are, like pros would call them ranked players. Like the ranked grinders.
Rank warriors.
Yeah, exactly. And I think when you talk about going pro, most of the time people are talking about 3v3, right?
Yeah.
Playing competitive threes. So I mean, you can be a top 100 ones player, but it's completely different in threes because you're not the only one on the field, and positioning is super important in threes. And if you don't know where to be on the field, even if you're the best ones player, it's still going to be hard for you to win games because I mean, you can't be three people. Like you just can't. It's hard to 1v3 at a certain level, especially the pro level. You can't 1v3 unless you are literally the best player in the world, and top 100 isn't the best player in the world. So
Hmm.
I think there's that. I think there's like mentality issues. People get frustrated. People get tilted easily. Maybe people also they don't want to go pro. Maybe they just like playing competitive. Like Lethamir, for example. He's a player who's focused on content creation and he doesn't really care about going pro, but he's still really good at the game, right? So I mean, it could be things like that. But also like I don't think there's anything really like stopping me from getting top 100. Like I don't see it as something I'm never going to be able to get, right? Like I'm getting there.
Of course.
So I don't really think it's something like that where like I can't get it and they're getting it and I'm not. I don't think it's really like that. But and also with going pro, like you have to be good in six mans, and you have to be good at calming, and people have to like you. A lot of people can sing, but there's not a lot of professional singers in the world. So I mean, networking is a huge part of it. Like there's a lot that goes into going pro, like in terms of getting opportunities. I mean, it might just be you getting a sub spot and the guy can't play one day and you pop off and, like that's that. It all, there is a bit of luck involved, but I mean, connections are a huge part of it. What the community thinks of you is a huge part of it. Like, are you playing in tournaments? Are you, playing in weeklies? Are you asking for tryouts? Are you trying people out? Are you scrimming consistently? Like there's a lot that goes into going pro. And if you're just playing ranked all the time, like you're not going to develop the connections you need to get on good teams. And I mean, that's just kind of like the bottom line, I think, with where
just being top 100 ain't enough, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, because no one respects top 100. Like that's, I mean, it's hard to get top 100. Don't get me wrong, but like, there's just not a lot of respect for it. So it's
all relative.
Mm-hmm.
It's all relative. Like when you're platinum, you look up to diamonds. When you're diamond, you look up to a champion 3. When you're champion 1, 2, you're like, oh my god, I wish I was grand champion. When you're grand champ, you're like, fuck, man, I want to get like. It used to be like a number. Now we got ranks: grand champ 2, grand champ 3,
right.
And then you look up to SSLs. And when you're SSL, you look up top 100. And when you're top 100, you're like, what the fuck have I done with my life? Like I've been here for 50,000 hours. I haven't done anything.
Yeah, for sure, definitely.
Yeah, it's weird. It's hard. That's what I meant with like it's a lifestyle. It's like you gotta be a little bit charismatic. You gotta talk. Luck's involved. If you catch a show match, that's already a big part of everything. Like people know you. Like being put on like a John Boy stream, or like as you said, being a sub in a big tournament. Just your name in that roster sometimes is enough.
Mm-hmm.
And if there are content creators out there that actually mention you, like that can literally create a career if you know how to handle it. Like you said, when luck meets opportunity.
Exactly.
Like I believe that for the bigger percentage of things that we do, we create our own luck. And then when you're lucky enough, funny to say that, when you're lucky enough to have an opportunity, you can put that into use.
Yeah. Definitely. I mean, if you've done the preparation, and you get your shot, then a lot of people are like, where'd this guy come from? He's an overnight success. But, like what they don't see is all the times they've been grinding before that. And that's a lot of times how it goes. I mean, sometimes like people just straight up get lucky and it's like, all right. And, like the lottery's probably pretty lucky. I don't know if you can prep the lottery, to be honest with you. like, I mean,
I've been prepping for 27 years for the lottery, bro. I'm ready.
I don't know. I mean, hey, I haven't read a lot about people who win the lottery, but I definitely like a lot of not just in Rocket League, but like business professionals, esports professionals. If you read a lot of biographies, they always talk about the times where they were grinding and reading a lot and being prepared and just like like you're listening to that Obama podcast, like the amount of or the audiobook, I think you said
the actual book actually it's right there.
Yeah.
There you go.
That book, I listened to it on Audible, and I mean, he talks about all the things he would read. And like that's the type of prep, like that's the type of prep that is going to allow you to do better in future situations. So, I think that's
definitely like no one will remember your days of where you just started the game.
Yeah.
You had no idea what you're doing.
Yeah.
But now you get into the lobbies, for example, in my community, and you pull out these like where you dribble 2 people, set up yourself, flip reset, bomb top corner, and people are like, "Oh, holy shit! Look at this guy. He trained the training pack. He used it." Like, no, bro. This is hours and days and weeks and months of practice, understanding the game, knowing when to apply it and how to do it. Like, this is also another reason why I tell lower ranked people, like, watch pros, but don't do what they do just because you see them do it. Like, there's a lot of stuff that goes into every decision they make. Like, for example, Squishy does that a lot, where he makes videos and he talks over him, and people think that that's all there's going in his mind. It's like there is so many things going on in his mind when he makes a decision. It is literally impossible to vocalize everything that you're paying attention to and seeing.
Yeah,
like it's crazy. People don't realize that. maybe it's better for the better.
I don't know. I mean, like, there's so many little like tiny things pros do that people don't catch up on.
Nah.
And I mean, if you're a low rank player, why would you even worry about that? It's not going to make a difference. Like, if you're a low rank player, I mean, if you learn to just hit the ball in the net, you're probably going to improve. You know, like it's things like that are simple. But you know, like once you get up to a high level, you start to realize just how much there is in the game. You know, Rocket League is like one of the only like sport type games where you control everything that your individual car does. You know, like if you think of FIFA, you don't have that level of control. You know, you can't control how the soccer, like how the individual moves his body. You know, it'd be too difficult for something of controlling 11 players. Like it'd be way too hard. But in Rocket League, you control where you move, how quickly you're moving, how, you know, like all of that. So you just realize how dimensional and just how many layers there are. It's pretty honestly pretty interesting. Like if you ever listen to like pros or RLCS coaches or people who are like at the top and really like get in depth and discuss every single detail of what they're doing, you just realize like there's so much to think about. Like you were saying, there's no way he can talk about everything he's doing because no one can talk that fast. You know, it's just it's impossible.
You can't catch up to it.
Exactly.
What were you doing before Rocket League?
I was doing school.
Are you a gamer?
I mean, I've been playing video games for a long, long time. But also, like, I played a lot of sports as a kid. It was kind of interesting. I like my first video game experience was like I had a Wii, and then I played the Wii, and then I had played a lot of Minecraft. I got a shitty little laptop, and I played a lot of Minecraft on that. And then I got an Xbox One, and then I played a lot of Battlefield 4. So I've always been a gamer, but not like Rocket League specifically. And in the games I did play, like I was good at them. Maybe not like Minecraft because I didn't do like PvP or anything like that. But like,
I can build a mean house, bro.
Right. I was, like in like competitive Minecraft, I think like speed running is kind of like the main thing of like PvP. So I didn't really do anything like that, but I was good at Battlefield. Like my KD was always really high, so I like to get really good at these things. And it was the same thing in sports. Like I played baseball for like 13 years, something like that. So I played baseball pretty competitively. I played football pretty competitively. So
American or European?
American football, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, no, I never played Europe or like football for the world, but yeah, I played a lot of American football. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool because
backstory.
Like you're what I would call like a casual gamer. Like you just get home from school, get home from work or whatever, in the weekend, just turn your console on or your laptop, just have a quick game and get out. But it's been growing, isn't it? It's like more. It's like I'm overusing this word, but it's also a lifestyle nowadays. Like because when I was a kid and you turn around and you go, "Hey, listen, I play video games all day long," bro. They'd empty your pockets and your house, I mean, like, and now it's like it's literally careers. It's the identity of so many people. Like that shit changed quick.
Yeah, I mean the amount.
Would you have seen yourself being able to play something pro like a video game 10 years ago?
I wouldn't have guessed it, not at all. I mean, like, but also like look at esports 10 years ago. It wasn't as big, I think Call of Duty was like the main esport, maybe, if I remember, like League of Legends, like Counter-Strike, those types of things. But I mean, I'm like 9 years old playing Mario Kart. Like I had no idea, and nobody had any idea. Like the vast majority of the population didn't really know. And even now in 2021, the amount of questions I get about what I'm doing, like, is this even possible? Like what, like, are you wasting your life? Like there's a lot of questions I still get. And especially too, like my family knew. Like I had really good grades in school. Everyone was like, yeah, I mean, he'll probably go to college, like he'll get a nice job afterwards. He'll take that route. And then I'm like, nah, I'm not really doing that, Everyone's like, what? So, and my dad, he's an immigrant, and a lot of immigrants think that, like education's the way. And he was always super hard onto like, you should go to college. And then I told him, I'm like, I don't really want to do that yet. And, there were a lot of arguments, and there were a lot of times where, they like, even my parents kind of like doubted what I was doing. But I mean, you show them the work ethic, and I always had good grades. So, I mean, like, I've planned this out pretty well, and like, there's no reason if this works out that like I won't be okay. Like I can still go to school. I'll still be like fine. Like, so And also, if I'm thinking to myself as an older, if I'm like in my 80s, looking back on this moment in time, there's no way I would be able to sit there and be like, yeah, I shouldn't have done that. Like I shouldn't have taken a chance. It's something like you got to take a shot for it because it's your dream. Like why wouldn't you go all out and see if you can do it? And see if you can do it. Like you got to have the courage to try, because it's so much better than regretting something. I mean, you got to take those shots. Life doesn't give you a lot, but you got to take them.
100%. I agree with you 100%, man. That's beautiful. That's a really cool way of phrasing it. It's it's not like you're doing something illegal. It's not something that's gonna like if it doesn't work out, you're gonna get fucked up for the rest of your life. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, at least I tried.
Mm-hmm.
At least like in 20 years, when you're doing whatever, let's say you become you're working in an office. Let me just use this as an example, and you look back and you just stumble upon like a Twitch ad, and you look at Rocket League, and all of a sudden there's a guy that looks like you, who's the same age as you, and now he's a pro and he's holding up the cup, and you're sitting there like, fuck, that could have been me, motherfucker.
Right.
And now you can be like, whether you achieve it or not, you're like, hey, at least I gave it a goddamn shot.
Yeah. So that way right? Like it's better, and probably the amount of people that'll tell you like, I really should have talked to that like one girl, or I really should have tried to take that job, or I should have taken that trip. Like life's too short to live like that.
Tell me about it.
When you get a shot to do something, you got to do it. Yeah, I mean, you got to take it because life's too short.
I live by that rule as well. Like I'm just 27, but I got the life experience of someone who's 50, 60. Like mostly because of the mistakes I made, but honestly, I'm regretting and also very thankful for the things that I've been through. At the same time, it's a very weird mixed emotion because now I know just shit. I know shit. I can deal with shit. Some things have left a very nice memory in my mind, and some things have left a scar in me. But from all those things, I've learned, and it just I like to think it made me a better person.
Yeah, for sure.
Just enjoy life, man. That's why I always tell people like, don't hurt others. Don't do stupid things. Don't. Life's too short. Enjoy and don't be a dickhead. Honestly, unless they ask for it, then give them the goddamn avalanche. But don't look for shit. Don't look for shit.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, it's
all right.
Yeah, you gotta take your chances, right? Like, sure. It's like you were saying.
Sure.
Did you want to get into those questions? I know you said you had a couple people.
Well, I already asked a couple of them sneakily, and you answered them perfectly.
All right. I didn't know you were kind of weaving them in.
Hell yeah, bro. Well, the one of them is you started yourself. It was how do you deal with tilt, because there's a lot of people that absolutely lose their goddamn mind. And a little personal anecdote here: I got a text message. I got a DM from a particular person, and this person wanted to coach another one. And the dude that wanted to get coached was little anger issues. You know what I mean? And like I'm talking literally throwing with controllers and just screaming. And we're not talking about like a teenager or a kid. We're talking about a dude who's probably my age, if not older. So you're like, okay, bro. Like, if you could say anything to people who get annoyed or like even further tilted, like actually fucking angry, what could you say? What would you say to them?
I mean, that's a tough question, right? But I think
no, like a personal level, like you don't have to guide them, but just like, what would you do?
I think personally, like I put it into perspective. At the end of the day, it's you playing a video game, and like it doesn't affect your health. You're not gonna die over it. No one's gonna get hurt. Like, I mean, I get tilt at like a professional level where there's hundreds of thousands of dollars on the line. Like I get that. Like what happened with, SCG with Reddles and like that play when they were playing Envy and Cybical disconnected. Like I get why they are mad over that. That makes sense. I mean, there's thousands of dollars on the line. But for the vast majority of us who are not at that level, I mean, when that guy bumps you, like, come on. Like, let's like
chill the fuck out.
Yeah, like put it into perspective. Like, you got killed in a video game, it didn't affect you, right? Like your team might have got scored on, but like think about how many games you play. I probably have over like 8,000 matches played. Like, do I do I remember the one time I got bumped and got no, like it doesn't matter. And it's the same thing in real life too. Like if you're driving and somebody cuts you off, as long as there's no accident, and life continues, there's nothing to get mad about because in the grand scheme of things, you kind of have to give like you have to think about like is it worth even giving a shit about, because I mean what you give your attention to, like that matters. You should care
Mhm.
about what you think about. And when those little things happen, like they just don't bother me because in the grand scheme of things, they just don't matter. Whether it's like that or whether it's like, if your waiter's kind of slow or like, if like those little things in life that annoy you, like if you hit every stop sign or if you hit every red light, those little things, it's just like it doesn't matter. It's one day, it's a little bit of time, it's a couple seconds. In the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter 99% of the time. So I really like, I read the book The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson, and he
I
talks
wanted to
about
buy that book.
it's a good book, yeah.
I,
And
I I picked it up and I put it down.
it's a good book. It's a good book. And he talks about like in life, it's about you have to decide what to give a shit about. Like it's not about trying to care about all these things. It's about caring about a couple things because the rest doesn't matter. And I
Mhm.
think that helps a lot with just your mentality. Like you got to understand, like it doesn't matter. I mean, it really doesn't matter. Like the cold look that person gave you, like you're never gonna see him again. Like it
Yeah.
doesn't matter. Like there's just so much shit that people worry about. It's just like it's not worth it. It's like why would you focus your thought and your valuable time on something that isn't going to affect you in the long term? And it's hard for people to do, and it takes practice. Don't get me wrong. Like I read that book in ninth grade, and
Mhm.
I was like 14. No, I was like 15, and I'm 18 now. So like 3 years later, like after practicing this mindset and like practicing not getting upset about certain things, you kind of realize like there's just so much not to worry about because you have people out there who are going through shit, like their parents are dead, they're trying to support somebody on their own, like they're like in Afghanistan right now. Can you imagine like what some of those kids are thinking with the Taliban taking over? I mean, you're scared, like your parents, your mom, she might be like worried about getting raped or something. Like there's so much other things that just matter more that in my personal opinion, like a lot of the stuff that I run into, I mean, I live in America, like they're not big problems, like for
Mhm.
me, a lot of it's not big problems. And I think that's true for a lot of people about what they get said about. They're not big problems a lot of the time. So, you know,
Doesn't
that
that
might
type
be.
of that way of thinking make you aren't you scared of that making you lazy in a way? Like you're like, whatever, I'll be fine.
Like
Like
I
compared
mean,
to them, I'm fine.
I think like you have to choose like what you actually care about, and for me,
Mm.
worrying about those things I don't care about, but like Rocket League I care about, and you can say like, then why aren't you getting frustrated when you lose games? And then again, I'll tell you like, because I'm worried about the long term. I'm not worried about the short term winning that one game because I don't care. It's one game, right? Like I'm gonna play thousands more, and it's what I do each game that's gonna get me better. It's not avoiding that one little thing. It's not getting mad at that one little thing that's gonna help you. So, I mean, that's kind of how I see it. You got to have that long term thinking that just is like 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 it's not gonna matter. It's just not gonna matter. Same thing. Like if you lose one six man and your teammate completely tosses, how many you can play as many six mans as you want. Like it's all good. Take a deep breath. Like it's all good. Like the world, the sun's gonna come up in the morning. Like you'll be okay. It'll be all right. Because also like I need to have the brain power where it's like actual like bad shit happens. Like if one of my family members gets diagnosed with like cancer or something, like I gotta be ready to deal with that. Like that's something to give a shit about, right? Because that matters, and like
Yeah.
that's when you can be frustrated and be emotional because those are big problems. But it's hard enough dealing with that. Then like having to worry about all the other little things that normally would annoy you, like it's just that's gonna destroy you. You just you can't do that. So the little things don't really bother me. I save my thought for the things that really, in my opinion, matter in my life. And that'd be my advice. Is just choose what to give a fuck about, basically.
That's the first time I heard you use the word fuck. I got you. I caught you slipping. That's beautiful, man. That's beautiful. It really is. Um, I wish, like again, like I'm not the type of person to just like pamper people up or just rain them down with compliments or whatever. Like, but I wish the people that play competitive anything. The people that play Q ranked had a little bit of a mindset of what you and a couple others that I know on a personal level. I wish they would have that as well, because one of the most common things that I see people complain about when I coach them is teammates or opponents, well, mostly teammates, that are just straight up not giving a fuck. They're just doing it for selfish reasons. They'll do completely unnecessary mechanics that 9 out of 10 times is going to end up them handing the ball over to the opponent, and now all of a sudden it's a 3v2 or a 2v1. So, like, if anyone out there is listening to this and you recognize yourself in what I just said, like, stop it, cut it out, cut the bullshit out. Honestly, it's competitive, it's ranked, it's there for a reason. You might not take it serious, but guess what? You're not on your own, and I wish people would understand that. Honestly. There's something we haven't talked about in regards to Rocket League, and we haven't talked about it in private either.
All right.
Psionics.
Yeah.
They're acting a little bit different, and they're kind of the hot topic for the last couple of months. Now, with the Season 4 update, they did something that surprised a lot of people. And what I mean isn't the casual concede defeat or whatever the fuck it's called. It's not that. It's not the player count either. It's the lack of a 1v1 tournament in the game. They've added 2v2. We already had 3v3. They added extra modes. Would you like to see a 1v1? Would you like? I want your opinion on what the fuck Psionics is doing lately. Like, have you ever thought about it? Do you even care?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like, you know, I like what happens with Rocket League matters a lot to me because, like, I'm trying to make a living off of this, right? Now, specifically, like with what you said with them not putting 1v1 in, it is kind of interesting that they didn't do that. I think it could be because it could be like scheduling, you know, like they have a tournament every, I think it's like 3 hours, or it used to be like 3 or 4 hours. You know, maybe they just don't want to like overwhelm that, because if they're putting extra modes and 2v2 in, I think it's interesting. I think what is the really interesting thing is that they chose extra modes over ones. That is what I find interesting. But also, like, from Psionics, like, we haven't seen in the RLCS like any like them supporting a lot of ones types of things. You know, that's been mostly like Johnny Boy and kind of his thing that he's been doing. So I don't think necessarily Psionics is like super into competitive ones, just based on what we've seen. I could be wrong. Maybe they got something in the books. I don't know. I mean, we saw that they had I forgot if it was like a Reddit or a Twitter post, but they like were explaining that like putting features that the community wants takes longer than just putting out items. But also, I mean, they've had like 4 months, so like I don't really know. I just the one thing I
they didn't have 4 months. The game is out for 6 years. What changed?
Yeah, true. I meant like since the last update. Since like, but I guess since free to play, it's been like about a year.
We're 4 seasons after free to play.
yeah, for sure. But I think like the one thing I just wish they did do was communicate. That way people can understand. Because honestly, like, I'm not a software developer. I don't know what the problems are. I don't know if there's like not money behind it. I don't know like if Epic doesn't give them the resources to do it. We don't know. So I mean, like, we can sit here and try to understand and be frustrated about the situation, but quite frankly, like, we don't know what they're working with. You know, they could have like 2 dudes trying to like grind this out. We don't know. And so the one thing I do wish they had was, I wish they were more transparent. That way we could understand what's going on. Because they could be perfectly like, they're working hard. We don't know. That's the thing. And also, I mean, they're a business. Like they're doing what makes them money, right? Like it's those items like that makes them money. So it makes sense that has a prioritization, but also like for me as a player, I of course want to see like top 100s get their own tags. I of course want to see like Psionics add more features to training, more features to replays. Like those would be, the community loves that, you know, because that's what we want. That's what we've been asking for. Or like adding maps. Like why can't we import Lethamir's maps yet? Like why do you have to go through this hard thing to do it? You know, but I don't know how long that takes. I don't know where the resources are at. I don't know enough to be able to make a judgment about them. And I think if they were more transparent, people would be more understanding. It's just like my dad hired a guy to make us like a fireplace outside our house, and he literally we did that and they were supposed to start in January, and he told us it'd take 2 weeks. They didn't finish until like a month ago. And the worst part about that is the guy's not communicating. Like we don't know what the hell's happening, and so my dad gets really frustrated. It's the same thing with Rocket League. If you're not communicating why things aren't coming out, if you're not communicating the resources you have, what you need, what are the problems, no one's gonna like really understand. They're just gonna think you're not doing anything.
Yeah.
And I think if they were more articulate, and I think if they did communicate more, I think it would help them a lot. I don't know what they can share. I don't know the legal things behind that, but I mean, just like tell people what's going on. That way, we can at least try to understand. That's kind of what I wish that's the one thing I wish they did more. Because obviously it's not like the people at Psyonix are sitting there like trying to kill the game, like
Of course.
like those are their jobs. Like that's what they do for a living. They're not sitting there being like, let's just keep pushing it off, like
let's just pull the fucking plug.
Let's kill the game. Like this game they don't think that, there's no way they have people on a team that have that mindset. I just think that it's easy for us on the outside to just look at it and just see like not a lot of content coming out and be really hard and harsh judging, especially like you and I who rely on this game basically for a living. We care a lot, so we're going to be like really upset if things are coming out. So yes, of course I'm upset that things are coming out, but also I have in the back of my mind like I don't know the full situation, so how can I really like make a correct judgment? And the one thing I just wish is that they were more transparent and they communicated better.
Yeah. That being said, that's one of the things that you would like to see change, so the communication.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to refer back to the previous episode where I had Kieran over and we were talking. I made a really good point that I didn't think of for a very long time, and it was like in higher ranks, it can be we can play a match, we can play twos, you and me together, and we go against another team of two people, and we beat them 4-0, and then we come against them again, and then they whoop our fucking ass 6-2.
Mm-hmm.
So effectively now we've just spent approximately 10 to 12 minutes. We've wasted our time. Like if we're grinding ranked, if we want to see who's better, we just spent 10 minutes, all four of us, just wasting our time because none of us got any better. What do you think of the idea of having a best of threes, best of fives after a certain amount of rank? Would you think that would determine a better ranking system? And let's say you got someone on your team who's just really, really out of place. Like he does not belong in that rank. He just had a really nice friend that got him up there and it was like, you know what? Peace out, bro. Like we'll catch you later. What do you think of that? Because there's most big games, competitive games at least, do have that. Valorant, CSGO has multiple rounds. Like sometimes takes an hour. Overwatch has something similar. What do you think of that?
That is an interesting idea. I haven't really heard of that. In ones, I think it'd be fine because it's just you. I think in threes, solo queuing, I mean, if I get a bad teammate, do I want to play with him in a best of five? No. To be quite frankly, no, I do not. But also, like, it would be cool because especially, like, at the MMR I'm at, when you get pros in the lobby, like, I want to keep playing against them because it's good. I mean, it's not like you go into rank to just toss your points, unless you're streaming and, like, like if I get Rizzo on my team, I'm never like, oh boy, because like he's streaming, he doesn't give a shit. So like, but like for the vast majority of pros, like they're trying to like play, especially in twos. Like if you run up into like an Atomic and a Reddles with a Daniel lobby, like that's a good lobby. It would be cool to play in like best of threes and that kind of thing. But also from a pro's perspective, they get like some random person they've never heard of, and they got to play against AJ and Atomic for 3 games, and they're sitting there like, oh, okay, this is impossible. So I mean, I see pros and cons. I think it would be cool if they did it with like you got to queue with people. Like if you had people to queue with, I think that'd be cool if they did it that way. Mm-hmm. Like if you had a 3 squad against another 3 squad, do a best of 3, best of 5, probably best of 3. I think best of 5 might be a lot.
Yeah, and like I wouldn't see this. I wouldn't want to see this implemented in Champion 1 and up. I would like to see this implemented in SSL Plus, maybe. You know what I mean? Like extra thing. Because for example, what Overwatch has is they got like the they're gonna fucking kill me for this, but I think the highest rank there was Grandmaster, if I'm not mistaken. So SSL, And then they have something else that is like called top 500. So it's like a big chunk of people who are considered really fucking good. Maybe add it to those people. You know what I mean? And if you're gonna play like a top 20, like why not make it a best of 5? Just throwing the idea out there. Not saying that I thought about this fully, but
it's a cool idea. It is a cool idea.
at the end of the game, at the end of the day, it's a competitive game.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like many sports do this, like football, for example. You play home and away. Same with baseball, with basketball. Like you go against each other multiple times to see who's actually better.
Yeah, for sure.
Like they can implement this with the club system, for example.
Yeah, for sure.
That's not being touched upon.
It's a good idea. I like the idea. Solo queue though might be a little interesting. Also, the other problems they could run into is like if there's not enough people queuing, you could run into that too.
Yeah, but the amount of players is always good, amazing, or excellent. So don't worry about it.
I don't know why they choose it. I thought that was kind of interesting. It seems a little like the players' numbers dropping off, and they're like, "It's good, guys." Don't.
Dude, I'm gonna quote Kieran on this, but you can have literally 0 people on there or 50,000, and it's like fucking good.
Yeah,
good. Like, don't worry about it. It's like
you're sitting in a queue for 26 minutes. They're like, "It's excellent." Like I don't know. There's an excellent amount of people online. You're like, all right.
You joke about that, but I've queued for 45 minutes back when solo stand-up was a thing.
Same here. Like I've been in those queues for a long time. Yeah,
it's crazy. It's you get a lot of free play training in.
Yeah, I mean I don't really mind. I like free play, so it's kind of like shit. But also like if you're trying to get games in, it's kind of frustrating. Although the one thing adding a best of 5 in could do is like add a bit more credibility to ranked. Because think about it, if you are queuing 3s with your team and you go up against a pro squad and you beat them in a best of 3, I mean, sure it's ranked, but like maybe
they're gonna be like, who the fuck is this guy?
Like I don't know if pros are gonna respect it or not. But maybe I don't know. Maybe like if you beat rank A people, and also like when you're in a series and you see the names over and over, like people become more friendly. Like they'll say like GG, like that kind of thing. Like you might start bantering with each other, and maybe it develops those connections. So I'd be open to the idea. I think that'd be cool. At least try it, But are we gonna see Psyonix do something like that? I don't know. I mean, let's be real. And we won't
probably
see that
not
until like 2025. Like let's be real.
They'll probably fix clubs by then. Hopefully.
Yeah, they got a lot to work on. That's for sure. It would be great to see more content being pushed out. But I just don't know the behind the scenes. I just don't know why things are being handled the way they are, to be honest with you.
So you kind of started playing Rocket League when I stopped playing Rocket League.
Yeah,
2019
probably.
You said, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's when I really picked up on coaching. I kind of quit. That's funny. Because where my journey ends, yours begins. Not that I've achieved anything. Like I wouldn't even consider myself even half a bubble player. Like let's not get shit twisted. But that's pretty funny. Like we just missed each other.
Timing.
Yeah, it's really fucking funny.
It is. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I started in 2019 because that's when I first got my computer. So that's the first time I got a PC, and I was like, you can't go pro unless you're on PC. Sorry, Switch players, but I mean, playing on 60 hertz, that's just.
Tell us the corny story of how you found Rocket League, how you were in the basement of your friend and he just decided to play a game with you. And
it wasn't like that because I was on an Xbox and Rocket League didn't get released on Xbox. But I remember watching people play it when it first came out on Twitch. And I was like, man, that looks like a fun game. I really want to try it, but I can't. Like I'm on Xbox, it didn't come out. And then like literally the week it got released on Xbox, I got it, tried it, and was hooked. I mean, I played so much. Me and my friend, we both ended up playing it together, and we would like duo queue all the time. And I mean, that was like when it was like prospect, and then it went to like challenger, and like I kind of forget the old ranks, but I mean, there were days, don't get me wrong, guys. Like, I was like that, that like gold, that plat player, comparably to what it is now, where like I didn't know what the hell I was doing, to be honest. So, I mean, yeah. And I also say, like, I didn't play Rocket League before I switched to PC, but I was Grand Champ before I switched to PC. I just didn't like really play like with the intent of only improving. So I mean, yeah. So I played like I was decent, but I mean, still like a console player that's a grand champ, like like that's
It
not
doesn't
much.
hold credit.
Yeah, not even like that's nothing. I mean,
No.
it just no.
Not to talk shit to the console players out there, but once you jump on a PC, dog, you realize what the fuck we're talking about. Like
Yeah.
it's literally a different game. It's crazy. And then the next big step once you switch from console to PC is getting 144 hertz. Well, like once you get that, you're like, holy shit.
Yeah, it makes a big
Like,
difference.
yeah,
It makes a difference.
100%.
I have like a 360 hertz monitor. So like that's what I use now, but also, like if you're trying to be in that like pro category, you gotta have really good equipment. So that's kind of
Yeah.
what I got.
Tools for the trade.
Exactly. I mean, hey, you invest in your hobbies, right? So, whether it's like
Exactly.
mountain biking or, whatever you do, if it's like cars, you buy all that stuff and that's what you put your money with. So, me, it's gaming.
Exactly. It's a good thing. It's good to have a hobby, but gaming can be a really expensive hobby. That's for damn
Oh,
sure.
that is so true. It's expensive, especially this year with the graphics cards. Oh my God.
It's not normal. Just quickly want to mention something for people who are watching the podcast instead of just listening. You are not going insane. There are some things going wrong with my camera, so I hope I can fix it in post production. Just quickly want to say that we have some technical difficulties. So just so you guys know, I don't want to ignore the elephant in the room.
Yeah. It's all good. It's just a little bit of lighting, right? Like,
What other things do you play other than Rocket League? Like to chill out. Do you play any game?
Yeah. I mean, granted, like my schedule's kind of busy, so it's not like a lot of time. But like I just finished up Cyberpunk. Now I'm playing the latest Assassin's Creed, the Assassin's Creed Valhalla. So yeah, I play like single player games where like you don't really have to worry about what the hell is going on at all. Where it's just like nice, relaxed. Like it's not like I go in there in Apex and just like sweat. Like that's not really what I do in my off time. Unless I'm like playing with like other friends, then I might like queue Apex or something. But like it's not like I'm really trying super hard.
You aren't one of those people that just like gets in a game with their friends and like instantly has to be the best. Just like game the fuck out of it. You're super sweaty.
Not really. For Rocket
Good.
League is kind of like my only competitive because it's just it's so taxing to like really try hard. Honestly, like you got to focus and it's a lot on your brain. And it's good to have those chill times, So
yeah, 100%. 100%. It also makes it a lot easier to hang out with you, honestly. Like if you have a friend, it's like I'm a competitive person too, you know what I mean? But like on a Saturday evening when I'm tired, I just want to have some fun with my friends. I'm not gonna sit there and be like, yo, bro, your KD fucking sucks, bro. Get on my level. Like I'm not gonna do that, you know what I mean? Like it's just relax, have fun,
exactly.
clear your mind.
I mean, like that's how we all first started gaming, right? Like just have fun. It's important not to lose sight of that.
Exactly.
What about you? What do you play?
Me, bro, I really like not much, man. I really don't have the time, and when I do, I feel guilty, especially towards my community and towards the people that have supported me or are currently supporting me through Patreon because they're putting their hard-earned money into my pocket, and I genuinely get the feeling most of the time that I'm not doing enough. So I'm just doing the most I can and hope that it sounds weird, especially coming from me, but that it kind of pleases them, that they're okay with it, that they're fine with where their money is ending. Because like don't get me wrong, like I have a history. Like I've told this story before. This is something I will never try to dodge. It's just who I am. But I have a problem with people not getting their money's worth, whatever the fuck it is. And how do I tie this into my history? Well, I did some bad shit where I took from people that worked for it in a scummy way, right? So maybe it's just me trying to make up for it in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's just the guilt over the past 15, 20 years, who knows? But I like, it's one of those classic stories, isn't it? It's like as a streamer, you get like a Twitch sub, and some of them go, "Oh, yeah, cheers, thanks for that." Yeah. And then some of them go insane, like, "Oh my fucking god, thank you." It's like no, like both of that shit doesn't hit the right spot for me, because when you look at them in their eyes, you're like, I don't see people around me react like that. What's going on with you?
Yeah,
like you haven't won a lot. Just appreciate it, take it for what it is, and try to do better.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I don't really have time. And if I do, honestly, um, just everything and nothing. Honestly, I just want to get back into Rocket League
Yeah.
this season, especially. I want to get back into Rocket League. I want to play again. I want to see how I hold up because we actually calculated this with a couple of people from the community. And back when I was playing converted into the MMR nowadays, it would be around 1900-ish, 1900, maybe 2K-ish. Would it be if I kept my shit up, obviously, which I didn't. And right now, I noticed that if I were to solo queue, I would not get past 1600. Like, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Like, I cannot hold up. I'm rusty. Nah,
I
I'm not
mean,
able
yeah,
to keep
like,
up.
yeah. I mean, if you're not playing right, like you lose it. So
Yeah,
yeah.
but I can definitely say it's definitely like riding a bicycle. That's for damn sure. Because
Mhm.
I've queued in the last, literally since the season started. I played every day, maybe an hour or so. And
Yeah.
today I just like, okay, now I get the vibe. Now I get the feeling. Now I get, it's like, okay, I get it now.
Yeah.
It's like,
For
okay,
sure.
this is what they mean.
You'll pick it up. Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's like, okay, this is
I have
fine.
those great solo queue teammates who just
Oh, lovely.
so fun to play with. You'll be enjoying yourself. We'll be talking about we're sitting here like being like, yeah, nah, we never till like we're this and that. And
Oh, I'm
you
an
get working.
asshole.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm an asshole. I'll make you say shit you don't want to say. That's me. That's how much of an asshole I am. But it wins the game. I don't
Yeah.
care. I'm a
I mean-
competitive person. I'll make you tilt and lose the game. Fuck it.
That's funny. That is funny.
Don't get tilted then. Not my goddamn. Deal with it.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Oh shit. Well, I'm out of questions, but I want to keep talking to you.
Yeah.
Let's do some dumb shit. Let's talk about some dumb
Alright.
shit.
Like what?
Do you have time for me?
Yeah, I'm good. I got time.
All right, sick. Do you believe in aliens, dog?
Yes. Yes, I do.
Get the fuck out of here. Really?
Yes, 100%.
Okay.
I think
Okay.
the universe is too big. I think if you just like look at the science of it, I don't know if you follow Neil deGrasse Tyson at all, but he's a podcast called Star Talk, and I mean when you just hear that guy talk about how much shit there is out in the universe, it's hard not to sit there and be like, "There's no way there's not something." And I mean they're finding frozen water on Mars, and like if there's stuff like that on Mars, like in a whole universe, it's just hard for me to sit here and be like, yeah, there's no way.
I
that
found
can happen.
out a couple months ago that we found out that there was water on the moon.
I'm not 100% sure on that, to be honest.
That just freaked me the fuck out. I was like, hold up. We got excited that there might be water in the universe, and then there's all of a sudden water on Mars, and then now there's water on Moon. It's like, surely we should have figured out that there was water on the moon before anywhere else. That's just crazy to me. That's really fucking crazy. But screw the universe. Do you think they're here? I'm gonna rule with you.
On Earth,
Yeah.
it's one of those things where if you were to think about a species that would be smart enough and evolved enough to be like interplanetary, and not just interplanetary, but like I don't know the specific word, but like it's not like intersolar system, like what I'm saying?
Intergalactic.
Yeah, like like move from solar system to solar system, and not to mention the amount of distance you'd have to travel. I mean, it's calculated in light years, and light is so fast, and like the nearest thing is like millions of light years away. I don't know the specifics of it, but for something to be able to like figure all of that out, and then look at us on planet Earth, it would literally, like people will tell you, and I know there's a theory behind this or some type of thinking. I know it's not my idea, but where it'd be like aliens, it'd be like us looking at a worm. Like we're not really interested in it. Like we wouldn't be here studying that, because it's not interesting to like they're focusing on other things. There's other problems. So I think it's kind of that same thing. Like they probably know we're here, right? But like they just probably don't give a shit because they're like, I mean, these guys barely know how to do anything. Like they're so far behind, So I think it's something like that, where they know but they don't care, because for something to be able to understand and communicate with us and see us and observe us, you'd have to be light years ahead of us. Literally.
It's funny to me because for as far as I can remember, people always speculated about it. People were like, oh, UFO this, UFO that, UFO this, UFO that. And then literally 3 months ago, they declassify. The US government just goes ahead and goes, well, we don't know what they are, but they're definitely not man-made, and no one's giving a fucking shit. Everyone's interested in Jennifer Lopez, her lawsuit, where her dad is like, hello, do you guys not hear what the fuck they just said? That they're not man-made, dog. Like,
you're talking about the Navy leaked those like photos.
Yeah, the UAP shit.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I know there were like a couple astronomers who looked at it. I watched the videos a couple months ago, but I don't really remember the specifics. So I can sit here and be like, yeah, this is what they saw, because I'm gonna say like I just don't remember. But it is. I'm sure they've been here like and saw us, but I just don't think they really care to like stick around and
like it's not about who's debunking who's telling the truth, who was right all those years.
Mhm.
It's more about like literally just the fact that they're the huge goddamn is the organization, let's call it organization, like a branch of the government, just turns around and says they are not man-made. Excuse me, shouldn't the media be like, okay, can you fucking elaborate on what you just said? Like, what the fuck? Like, that's crazy.
I remember there being quite a bit of news on it. I don't know in where you live, but here there was quite a bit of conversation.
It was everywhere. The internet had a meltdown.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
crazy.
I mean, odds are the United States military knows about what's been here. I mean,
what if weird aliens?
Yeah, especially now with like the technology that we have and the satellites and the drones, like we know when something's around. But also too, you got to think like with social media and everything, like everybody has a recording device on them, unless these aliens are landing in like, the Sahara Desert, like people are going to see it, right? Like, people are going to see it. And also like, if you're an alien, why are you going to the desert when like you could go to New York and like see all these things, like that would seem to us more interesting.
Times Square.
Right, but like maybe it's just not interesting to them. So maybe, or maybe they're like, they have cloaking device. Like we just don't know. And it's something that I find super interesting because, I mean, we can speculate. Like, that's all we can do because we don't know, to be honest. Maybe the government does, but we don't know.
It's fun to talk about things like this because I always approach it jokingly, just make up wild shit about it just for the fun of it. It's like, imagine they touch down, what I'm like, let's say on Times Square or whatever. Mm-hmm. And they just like they sound like fucking like cows. Like what then? Like what do you do? Like just making up weird shit about it. I just love doing that. It's just funny to me. I don't know.
There's just so much to speculate and question, and it's all the imagination, and it's fun to think about 100%.
Or just the idea of them trolling us. Those crop fields and shit. They're like, can you just imagine two of them sitting next to each other? You're like, bro, I'm gonna freak the fuck out of these humans. Like, look at this shit. Like, watch. And it just comes down, just draws like some weird shit. He's like, look at them, dog. They think that it's like,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, it'd just be like us messing with worms or ants or some shit, like it's literally the same thing. Yeah.
It's like when you were a kid, I'm sure you've done this. Like you see ants and you grab a small twig and you just fuck with them a little bit, just direct their path a little bit. Like it could be the same thing.
It literally could. Yeah, 100%. So it sounds like you believe in aliens too, right? Like based on what you
100%. Yeah. 100%. I'm a huge conspiracy theorist. Huge.
Cool.
100%. Like there's certain things that I obviously don't believe in. Like when you turn around and go like the earth is flat, I'm like, yo, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up, bro. Like that's like I like to think that I have a little bit of common sense.
Yeah.
A little bit. But I'm also the type of person that believes in like shadow governments, that presidents or kings or whatever, they're not the actual rulers and shit. That there's always money involved, that they're always in the shadows. I genuinely do believe that. But like things like a flat earth or name another one, like what's one of those things that are just completely outrageous? Like the other day there was
I don't dive down the rabbit hole that much, but I mean flat earth is like kind of the best example probably.
Or that, like, for example, like that the aliens live underwater. It's like, what the fuck are they doing underwater? Like that type of shit. Like, why there?
Yeah, I mean, who knows? We haven't. I think we know. Like it's been said, we know more about like the surface of the moon or some shit than we do about the bottom of the ocean.
So they're fucking aliens because we like.
Maybe
that's like Schrodinger's alien, bro. Like that makes no sense.
Yeah, it doesn't. To be honest, I mean, like we would know. Like surely we would notice. You know, right? Like surely we would notice.
Like, I don't know, bro. Like, do you swim in the ocean? Like, do you put goggles on? Do you look down? If so, have you seen any? Like, let us know.
Yeah, for sure, right? Like,
You're like, fucking, bro. Now
Yeah.
you're getting too wild for me, too.
well, no, no, like there's, I mean, where you can see, you can't like see the bottom of the ocean with, just a pair of goggles on. Like, you got to go down.
Are you one of those people that can be underwater, open their eyes, and see clearly?
Like I grew up swimming and like that's how I used to do it, but I don't do that anymore because it hurts my eyes. But yeah, like
I got friends that can dive, open their goddamn eyes, and just not see everything blurry. They just see everything crystal clear.
Hmm? Yeah, I mean, like
that blew my mind when I found out.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think now if I did it, it would be like hella blurry, to be honest with you, because I haven't done that shit in a while. But I think like back in the day, like when I was 8 years old and I had like swimming lessons every day, or not every day, but like every week. I'm pretty sure I could do that. Not 100%, but I'm pretty sure I could.
Like, see clear shit.
I think so. Yeah, that's how I remember it, at least. I mean, hey, my 8-year-old self. I'm not sure if I remember a lot, but
God damn, bro, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, if you throw me in water and you tell me to dive with no goggles, I'll be like, yo, fuck it. Like, just do whatever you want to do. I can't do that. Like, that's not happening.
That's funny.
That's crazy.
I mean, I used to
talking
be
about.
No, you can finish. That's funny. I was just gonna say like I used to swim a lot. Like I got offered to be like on this competitive swim team when I was super young, but I never did it. The funny part, I literally didn't do it because I thought the pool was too deep. Like I was at that, like I was young, and I was like, this is kind of scary. Like I'm not doing that shit. I remember I went to like one of their practices and like practiced with the team, and the pool was like way deeper than anything I'd been around, and I was like, fuck that. I was like, I am not doing that. And then that's like where my, any bit of like competitive swimming like ended with me. I was like, that pool's too deep. Which is kind of funny.
Do you talking about swimming? That's what I wanted to ask a second ago. Do you work out? Do you exercise?
Yeah, I go probably like 5 days a week.
Oh shit! What do you do? Cardio?
No, I do all sorts of stuff. Like my gym schedule is like I go 2 days and then I take a day off. So I either do like 5 days a week or 4 days a week, depending on, because it's not like an even number. But I do like just yesterday was my cardio day and I like ran 5 miles. So like yeah, I'm in pretty good shape. So yeah, but like I'll do like my leg. I have like leg day, back day. Like you do like back and buys, or you do your triceps, or like really whatever you're doing. Yeah, like shoulders and like I work out quite a bit. Yeah,
mm-hmm.
But it's I do it because it makes me feel better. It's, and I'm sure study after study can support what I'm saying right now. But it's just like it makes you feel better, it gives you more energy. It's good for you. No one's gonna look at you and be like you're unhealthy for working out. So.
Were the endorphins that release when you work out?
Endorphins, yeah, I'm pretty sure
endorphins.
It's like testosterone, yeah, like your testosterone levels are higher, that kind of thing, yeah, and like dopamine. Like I know for me, there's no way. Like on the way home from the gym, like I just have this like routine of just like playing my music in my car really loud and just like having an absolute vibe back in the car. And I go late at night. Like I go to the gym normally at like 8, 9. When it's like pretty empty, and then I drive home and like there aren't a lot of cars on the road, and it's just like that's just kind of like one of those things that I do that's just like really good for my state, and it makes me just happy and feel good and that kind of thing. So that's why I go, like that's the thing that keeps me back and keeps me going. If you've ever read like books that talk about habit, like The Power of Habit or Atomic Habits, they'll talk about like how.
Please talk about this.
They'll talk about how like when you have habit loops, your brain gives you, rewards for doing certain behaviors. It's the same thing if you're training your dog, like if you teach it to sit, you have to give them rewards so they understand your brain's the same way. So like for me, I know like one of my rewards for going to the gym is like that drive home, like the way I feel on that drive home with just like having good music vibe. It's a vibe, it really is. Like I just feel good during that time. As stupid as it sounds, like that for me is like it makes it all worth it.
No, people underestimate working out.
Mm-hmm.
They genuinely do. Like I used to be huge. Like I used to be big into sports. I love sports. I love working out. I love sports. I haven't done it in a very long time because I had a I had an accident where I had a concussion, and I wasn't allowed to work out or get a high blood pressure because of the veins in my head near my brain could pop because they were damaged, and that was kind of the end of me exercising and working out. So, like, knowing how it feels after a workout, or knowing how it feels to get back completely destroyed, like everything hurts.
Yeah.
And then waking up next day and just feeling like you can just arm wrestle Superman, it's and now knowing how it feels not working out, you just feel fucking miserable. You
Yeah.
wake up and everything hurts. You're like, oh fuck, I don't want to do anything. I don't want to
Yeah.
stand up. I don't want to walk. But the funny thing is, like, what most people don't know is working out can give you more energy.
Yeah, I mean that's been
People
tested over and over.
Yeah, people always think that if you work out, your energy just depletes and it just stays there. It's like, no. Your brain releases chemicals that after you worked out or while you're working out to boost, like the threshold is just a lot higher, and you maintain that actually.
Yeah.
And this can actually reflect into like esports, including diets. Like, this is a huge factor that people do not realize.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think like what you're talking about is when you work out a lot, your brain gets used to that, and so it naturally produces more energy for you throughout the day. Like it gets ready for you to have that physical activity. So your energy levels do go up, just like what you were saying, and you're completely right. Of course, that's going to help you in not just like if you're doing esports, but whatever you're doing in school. If you're at work and you need more energy and you feel tired throughout the day, go work out. Go get in the gym routine. Not only are you going to be in better shape, you're going to have more energy throughout the day. Like there are no downsides to working out. Like as long as you specifically don't have like a health condition or something that's like if working out something like completely mess you up, I'd always recommend the gym. I mean, like for me, like that's just something I gotta do. It's just you gotta do it.
People always find excuses, and the number one excuse
Yeah.
is like, I don't have the money. It's like, okay, dog, like you don't have to go and pay a gym. Like you can just literally go outside, literally walk, just walk.
Yeah, literally. You don't have to run. Like literally do something, right?
Just put up this podcast. Just walk. Literally, just walk.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. 100.
Like it's people don't try it and already have an opinion about it. That's what annoys me. It's like, try it. If I'm wrong, don't come back. Fine, I'll take the loss.
Right.
I promise you. Like it's huge. Have you taken it that serious with Rocket League that you're actually like changing your diet or changing things about your life? Have you taken it that far yet, or not? Not.
You're gonna think, yeah, 100%. I have. I not like probably like for the past 3-4 months, I've been doing a lot of nutritional research about what scientists say is best for your body. Like it's not just like kind of reading like random things on the internet. Like you have to when you especially for something that like you're putting into your body, you really have to, in my opinion, really like figure it out. Like what's this going to do to me over the long term? Like what are you eating? What does it do for you? And for me, like the best thing for me was like a plant-based diet. So that's kind of what I eat mostly. I don't eat a lot of meat. I don't eat dairy. I don't eat dairy though, just because I'm lactose intolerant, and so like that shit upsets my stomach. But yeah, I eat mostly plant-based diet. So yeah, that's kind of what I eat, and that's the best for me. And that's like according to the things I've read. I emailed a ton of professors. I emailed the professor at Harvard. She's actually the director of nutrition at Harvard. And she got back to me with a ton of great information and resources. And so, just like a lot of things like that kind of pushed me in the direction of like eating less meat, and being a lot more, just healthy, a lot more like vegetarian type of eating, a lot more plant, a lot more like, like zucchini, vegetables, spinach, that kind of thing. A lot less like I never really ate red meat. And also my family cooks really like we're a healthy family. Like we always work out, like all my, like it's, health is like very much part of the culture of my family. So like making the transition wasn't that hard, because everyone kind of like supports, like being healthy and that kind of thing. So it's definitely really helpful for that.
I mean, there are MMA fighters out there who follow that exact same diet. There are MMA fighters out there, literally in the top 5 MMA fighters. Some of them are vegetarian. Like they don't eat meat. It's a plant-based diet.
Yeah.
It's an actual thing. Like people always think like, oh, if you don't eat meat, you're not this, you're not that, or if you eat too much meat, then meathead. All that type of assumptions are being made instantly. I got a question about you. Because I remember asking this before, but correct me if I'm wrong. Because you're part Sri Lankan, correct?
Yeah, my dad's from Sri
Yeah,
Lanka.
and you said like in our culture, and I want to touch on that. Have you grown up with more of an American culture or more of like a Sri Lankan or like a mix or like
Definitely,
what is it over there in your house and what is it over there in America, for example?
I'd say definitely more American. Just because that's where I've lived. That's where I've grown up. I go to school. I'm with other American kids all the time, and also the community I live in. I mean, like it's white as hell. I mean, I say that in like the like it is white. Like I live in like the most like we're literally like a couple years ago the county I lived in, we were like one of the wealthiest counties in the nation. Like I live in like a upper class like white neighborhood. Like that's where I live. My dad was literally the only brown guy for like 20 years before people started moving here. And so I mean like that definitely has so I kind of like have grown up in sort of like an American bubble where like I don't really see the like like the poverty, the homelessness that you'll see other places, but also because I've traveled so much, I have seen like what it's like in Sri Lanka and how people grow up. And like the size of their houses, how like the cleanliness. Do people wash their hands? How is food prepared? You can't drink this water, like that kind of thing. Like I know all about that because I've traveled and I've seen it. But going back to your question, like culturally, definitely more of an American house. And the thing, like really, I wouldn't say there's like any like Sri Lankan-ish like culture things that we really like do specifically. Like there aren't like holidays we specifically celebrate. Because I mean, my dad growing up, like he's been a Christian, and so like they didn't have like Hindu holidays, or like Buddhist types of holidays. Like we weren't really about that because he was a Christian in Sri Lanka, and my mom was too. So that's kind of how it went here.
Okay, but you were born in the USA.
Yeah, I was born in the USA. Mm-hmm.
Okay,
but it has been interesting. I was just gonna say it has been interesting growing up with immigrant for a dad, especially living where I live, because you get a lot of questions about it. Like I've gone to the airport and I do not look like my mom. My mom's pretty white and I'm not completely white. And so like you'll get questions. Literally, the first time we were traveling internationally, the airport people didn't think she was my mom, so she literally had to like pull out the documentation, and it's just like, I mean,
get the fuck.
I know, like that. It's like just kind of weird, And even when my mom was bringing my dad back, like my mom went and worked in the Peace Corps, and that's how she met my dad. So for 2 years, she lived in Sri Lanka, and that's kind of when they like were like seeing each other and dating and like starting to like move towards marriage. And so then my dad asked her to marry him before he moved. She was moving back, and she said yes. And so then like her whole family is like, who the hell is this guy that you're bringing back? Like they thought she was a complete lunatic, and a lot of them like didn't trust my dad at all. But I mean, but like 25 years later, like they're happily married, and like they're luckily for my sake and my house, like they don't have problems, they don't fight. And I'm pretty thankful for that because it just makes it easier on me. Like it's another thing I don't have to worry about, and there are other families out there who it's tough and like their parents fight and it's uncomfortable for them. And I feel for them, but luckily for me, that's just not how it was for me. So,
yeah, I'd like I'm technically from an immigrant family, and I am an immigrant because I wasn't born in the Netherlands. I was born in Turkey, and then later on we moved over here. And like I'm probably gonna offend a couple of people, but I don't really give a fuck. Honestly, the Dutch people catch a lot of flack for the quote unquote racism. Now, I gotta be honest with you. I've had encounters with it, but not that much to the degree that you sometimes hear in the media. I really think that shit is blown the fuck up. I don't think so. If anything, I think Dutch people are extremely welcoming. Like, obviously, you have some racist motherfuckers in. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you got that. Like, Turkish people, we are goddamn racist, bro. Like, we are really, like, we racist to each other. Like, let alone people from the outside. You know what I mean? Like, if you meet a Turkish person, like, as a Turk, if you meet a Turkish person, you know what the first fucking question is? It's not like, how you doing? Where you come? Like, what city you from? what? Let me see if I'm better than you or not. Like, really? Like, nah. So I can kind of relate to the immigrants part of society. Like your dad is from Sri Lanka, I come to a Western country. We're from Turkey. We've come to a
Yeah.
bit more of a Western country. I consider Turkey pretty Western, but
Mhm.
it's it's weird, especially for me because I always had a little bit of family back in Turkey, and then when you're over here, you're a Turk. But when you get over there, you're Dutch.
Yeah.
And now it's really hard to find your identity because at home
Mhm.
you get the Turkish values and the culture, and outside you can't speak Turkish because your mom wants you to learn Dutch.
Right.
It's like, okay, but who the fuck am I? So you're just stuck in between. So that's why
Yeah.
I wanted to know, like, were you brought up with the American culture or was it
Yeah.
like a mix? Because it can be really hard
Mhm.
until, like, especially boys or men, they have a harder time finding their identity until a certain age because we just develop a little bit slower than women and girls. It's just factually true. So it's really hard for us to find a place. And I thought, it would be an interesting question because
Yeah.
it's 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 obvious an obvious thing where cultures sometimes clash, but I don't think there's enough questions about it. Like people don't really know how to phrase questions.
Yeah.
That's why I was really curious about it because
Definitely.
like you can't even describe an American culture actually. Like what is an American culture?
Yeah,
Like
I know, right? Like it's all pretty different over here because I mean we're a giant, like they call us a melting pot of cultures and people. So, it's interesting and just demographically, like there's this thing happening where like slowly but surely there are a lot more non-white people, like non-Hispanic white people that are coming, and so like white people aren't going to be the majority anymore in America, and like that's just what's happening. That's just the demographics of it.
mhm.
And it's just kind of interesting because America is just so diverse. It's such a complex like ecosystem of people. But yet, like even in America, like there's still a lot of problems about racism. I mean, I'm sure it's been all over the world, like the Black Lives Matter movement, and just
Yeah.
everything that's been happening here. Like there's still a lot of racism that goes on because when people it's just basic psychology. When you see people that aren't in your group, it can feel threatening. And that's just kind of where racism comes from. It's people that look different from you, like they
We're just
become.
very primitive. Our brains are
Yeah,
still very
yeah,
primitive because we're tribal.
yeah, exactly.
Like let's take you and me for example. We didn't have anything in common. It was just Rocket League, and then
Yeah.
but because we are both from the Rocket League tribe, we found out that we have other things in common, and we might think alike with certain things.
Mhm.
But you're not gonna like. I don't see you walking into like I don't know like a store that sells life-size pony dolls, just making shit up. You know what? Because there's nothing in common. Like it's not your tribe, it's not your group of people, it's not something you identify with. So you're gonna stay away from that, whether that's in a very aggressive manner or in a very passive manner. You're gonna stay away from that.
Mhm.
And people just are inclined to try to find a tribe that they identify themselves with and stick to it and defend it. And it's a very primal way of viewing things. And I think again, this is one of those things, just like the culture we were talking about. Like it's not being touched upon. It needs to be spoken about so it can be dealt with.
Yeah, yeah,
It's a shame.
it
Like
is a shame.
you're from America. You're
Yeah,
you're mixed.
yeah.
I live in the Netherlands. It's the most multicultural country in Europe. Like
Mhm.
I know personally, I know Moroccans, I know Algerians, I know Turkish people, Dutch, Suriname, Colombians, like you name it. There's even in this neighborhood, like I live in a pretty shit neighborhood, it's a low income neighborhood. Obviously you're going to have people with a different background, like it's just the way it is.
Yeah,
There is an element of beauty in it, but people are more keen to find the negativity and point fingers at it and use that as like, oh look, that's why they're shit. It's like, no, but like you wouldn't have pizza if you didn't like the Italians, you know what I mean? Like you wouldn't have your noodles if you didn't like Asian people. It's like there's beauty in everything. And
yeah,
I think people need to look more at the positivity rather than what separates us.
yeah.
I find that shameful.
It is. It is unfortunate. If we could all just embrace each other, it'd solve a lot of problems. I feel like, but that's not the way it works. I guess.
It's a
Unfortunately,
goddamn shame.
it is. It is because it's kind of unproductive too. Like if you really think about it, I mean, It is. It's a lot of like lives lost, money spent, like fighting, and just it's
Listen, the planet's goddamn burning down, okay?
yeah,
Literal
exactly.
we're fucking up. Like the earth is gonna stop existing. I do not care right now if you are darker or whiter than me. Like, I'm sorry, dog, but right now that's not on my agenda. I do not care. We gotta save the goddamn earth first, and then we'll talk about it.
For sure. I mean, where I live too, like just because the forest fires that are like crazy. I mean, even in Italy, I'm sure you guys are probably getting a lot of smoke too. But like here, it's super hazy out, and that's a lot of climate change.
Yeah,
causing a
it's
lot of
fucked
problems.
up.
Oh yeah,
Like Turk is burning up right now. Like
yeah,
last time I heard, we had like 331 fires or some shit. If I'm not misquoting it, like
yeah.
that's a lot of fires.
Yep.
It's a shame.
Fires, flooding, all sorts of stuff is gonna start happening.
I saw a dude's house literally just disappear in the flooding. I was looking at the video and it was just like this house with a nice balcony, and it was there, and then we saw the water coming, and literally 30 seconds later, the house was like boop, and then gone.
Yeah.
And instantly, I was like, "Can you fucking imagine that being your house?
I know.
Pictures, like everything you own, all those memories, just gone."
Mhm.
Like, fuck.
It's crazy.
That's crazy.
It is crazy. I like that kind of reminds me like this place when last time I was in Sri Lanka, we went to this tsunami memorial. And the amount of like pictures and the amount of like people that died I don't remember exactly when the tsunami was, but there's a pretty bad tsunami that hit Sri Lanka, and it just completely ruined that island. And going back to those memorials and just like seeing the destruction and the power of that water is something else. It really is something else.
Definitely. It humbles you in a way.
Yeah, I know. It's like, yeah, we're not on top. Mother Nature still got us in the bag. Like, like if she wants to, we're not lasting. You know what I mean? Like,
the only thing we goddamn won is the food chain, and even that's debatable. Like, we're out of the goddamn food chain, but sometimes you got idiots that fuck with grizzly bears, and
Right, yeah, for sure. I mean, like the super volcano in Wyoming. Like, if that ever blew up, I mean, that's the end of
the fucking
United States right there.
Yellowstone.
Yeah.
That freaks me the fuck out. You know that?
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
that freaks me the fuck.
We just don't control it. Like if it goes off, I mean, well, that's that. Like we, kind of makes you realize just like.
Can't you like just put a cork in it or something?
Put a cork in something that powerful? I don't know. I honestly, I don't know. I'm not a geologist.
Give it a bash. We were just talking about it. Like if you don't shoot for the stars,
True. I have no idea. I can. I mean, the amount of force to like blow like all of that land up must be remarkable. I mean, just think about that. A super volcano just blowing like an entire state up. And Wyoming's pretty big, like it's pretty sizable geographically. And God, I mean, just that entire place would just go into the sky.
Okay, you're freaking me the fuck out. Okay,
like, that's crazy. So crazy.
Chill out.
Super crazy.
Hey yo, Rhys, I want to slowly wrap it up, bro. Is there anything you want to say before we fuck up your socials? Maybe something you want to mention real quick. Maybe your team you want to give a shout out.
I don't need to plug my socials. I'm not that type of person. I'm all good. I just want to thank you for having me on. I do appreciate it. It's good talking to you, like always. Like we always have good conversations. Hopefully, anything we talked about Rocket League wise was helpful. And you guys enjoyed that. Thanks for tuning in, obviously, and all that good stuff.
Yeah, it was honestly. It's more of an honor for me to have you. Or thank you for making time for me, honestly. Yeah, and I think the community will even like you more after this.
We'll see. We'll see what they have to say.
All right, take care, everybody. Thanks for being here, and don't do dumb shit.
Yeah, peace out, guys. Have a good one.